The United States declaring independence from Britain was one of the most monumental events in modern history. The US definitely has had a profound impact on the world for both positive and negative reasons. Basically, as an American, I can say the revolution still dominates everything in my country. It's seen as the genesis, and our culture revolves around those ideas of independence and warfare. But what if this revolution never happened, and the US never existed? How would this change the world? Not surprisingly, a lot. We're not going into the specifics of the cause of the revolution. Basically, for this scenario, no Americans ever wished or decided to revolt and stayed British citizens. No war, no declaration of independence, nothing. Things like the Stamp Act still occur, but no colonists really see a big deal with it and never decide to rebel. So on to the effects of no American Revolution. This will be one big list, basically. 1. No United States. Obviously, but not just this. Britain's hold on North America would be very shifted then in our timeline. I mean, no offense Canada, but Canada. So holding colonies that ranged all down the eastern seaboard would definitely shift international politics. Not only that, but Britain won land east of the Mississippi from France after the 7 Years' War. If no revolution occurred, Britain would have eventually expanded colonies into these lands, but not as fast as the Americans did. Which brings us to the people living in these lands. 2. Native Americans. Yay, America! We won the revolution from those Brits. Now we're land of the free, home of the brave, all men create equal. What's this? Indians? No, this won't do. They'll have to go someplace else, where we don't care because we're America. So yeah, Native Americans definitely got the worst deal out of the United States becoming a country. Europeans and natives never really got along, but Europeans were always contesting with each other. They never really went after native tribes, usually siding with tribes against other European countries. However, since the US became its own nation, it had only really one place to go with its resources, and it was west. We know how this goes, but in this alternative timeline, since the US would stay with Britain, simply put, the British wouldn't invest so much time into dispelling the natives as the Americans did. Maybe in these lands that the British now controlled, they would make deals with tribes such as the Cherokee. Colonists would move along the Gulf Coast and into Ohio. Since the Midwest was largely depopulated by the Iroquois in the Beaver Wars, colonization wouldn't be much of an issue. For a long amount of time, tribes such as the Cherokee would remain a driving force in the land they lived in. What is present-day Georgia would be ethnically Cherokee, while on the coast, small population of Brits would occupy village colonies. Even if the Cherokee would eventually be withered by disease and loss of land, I believe a portion of the South today would have more native roots instead of simply deporting the Cherokee to Oklahoma where a large portion are today. 3. France keeps the Great Plains. Since there was never a president to negotiate the Louisiana Purchase or a Napoleon to give the land, talk about that soon, Britain or the US doesn't expand west of the Mississippi, at least for a while. Maybe some alternate war would occur for the land, however that's doubtful as much of it looks like this. Assuming the British never invade the Great Plains, and since the French were light colonists, only really using the land for fur trapping, the native tribes slowly recover from the old world diseases and become very independent. 4. Napoleon never rules France. The American Revolution was not just an American event or simply local to North America. It was an international event with forces from Native America, Germany, Britain, and especially France coming into play. France hated Britain, so if Britain happened to lose hold of those colonies, it could benefit France, which is why France was a main supplier and ally of the US rebels. This funding and alliance with the US, however, put the French government in a lot of debt. Along with an awfully horrible harvest due to a bad winter, the king's power began to be shaky. We know how this all went, the French Revolution. This isn't saying the revolution wouldn't happen, this is just saying that the funding of the American rebels was one of the tipping points in the French Revolt. No US leads to a little less debt, leading to a little more stability in the French government. If the US never happened, then the perfect amount of timing which led to Napoleon becoming emperor never would have either. With this, Napoleon wouldn't have gained the throne and invaded his neighbors. Napoleon basically destroyed the Holy Roman Empire, leading to the events which created modern-day Germany. This shifted all of European politics. 5. everything else. With Napoleon never seizing power at the exact perfect timing, he doesn't become emperor. This literally changes everything in Europe. Colonies, industry, economy, demographics, so much of what we attribute to modern-day Europe was put into effect by Napoleon's invasions. What do you think would have happened had the US lost a revolution? Tell us in the comments, like us on Facebook, and subscribe if you have not done so. This is Cody from the Alternate History Hub.